Welcome back to another episode of Dirty Shore Underground. Tonight's special guest, Matt Mayday, over here to the right. Rob, who everybody knows. Tell them what we're doing here tonight, Rob.
So, first of all, make sure you check out Dirty Shore Underground for all the latest episodes. Bonus episodes come out Monday or Tuesday. Full episodes on Thursday. You want to check out Dirty Shore UG on Twitter and Facebook, so you can join the live feed. As always, we are live streaming on YouTube. So come in, make a comment, join the conversation. You can find links to that on Facebook and Twitter every time that we do a new episode. So, this week we're going to be talking about a new adventure for at least two of us in the room here. Uber, the ride-sharing company, has come to the Eastern Shore of Maryland. So we are diving into that entire, I guess, let's talk about the topic at hand and our experiences and everything else. So,
what made you get into Uber?
Wanting extra money.
Who doesn't want extra money?
I have to say that's flat out just really all that it is. Both we were talking about this the other night. Both delivered pizzas before.
Yep.
And a lot of that was the same deal. It's just driving. You deliver pizza too,
yep.
So you know it's just driving and. Well, let me ask you this, because we discussed this. What was the worst thing the thing you hated most about delivering pizzas?
Not getting a goddamn tip.
Okay, so Uber, guaranteed money's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking the trip, you're going to get paid for it. What else didn't you like about being a delivery driver?
Rude-ass owners.
I haven't...
Nasty customers.
What I was going to say, so for the most part, I mean, I think I've had the most rides that have
driving
people right
fucking 15 to 20 miles for 25-cent tip.
Calm down. I'm trying to address each one of those individually. So, as far as rude people goes, I haven't had any rude people at all. I've had quiet people. I've had super hungover quiet people, which are a different breed. Then it's like, hey, the radio, can you just turn the radio a little bit? And I'm like, oh, sorry. There are people who just don't want to talk. And then there are people who are super fucking chatty. And they want to talk about what's going on around here. You get tourists who are just trying to find out where there's a place to go, and then there's a couple of locals who are just like want to talk about how did they get into this, how do they drive for it, all that stuff. So I've had any assholes, drunk people I've had, and they can be assholes, but otherwise not. So I want to say a big hello to Colin. Yes, it can be seen by them, and it is on a bit of a delay. And Colin's live streaming or live commenting the Thursday Night Football game for us, apparently.
Okay.
So, hi Colin, welcome. And again, if you want to be like Colin and participate in the podcast, although maybe more proactively than Colin is here, Dirty Shore Underground, Dirty Shore UG on Twitter and Facebook, so you can get the link to the live stream. Make sure you like and you follow, so you get all the newest updates when they come out. So you said another thing is about taking long drives and not being worthwhile.
Yep.
I got to say that was the most appealing thing to me, is that the minimum around here is $6.60. Mm-hmm. So no matter what you do, if I take you from one bar to the other on Washington Street, you're paying me $6.60. Mm-hmm. And then above that, it's like a taxi. It's distance and time. So you get paid at one rate while you're sitting at a light. You get paid another rate for while you're driving. So no matter what the distance is, you're getting paid every moment that, not you're on the clock, but every moment that you're driving somebody. Mm-hmm. And the best thing, one of the things I hate about driving is that when we were driving delivering pizzas, you don't get to pick. And do you remember the houses where you're like, when you see it pop up on the board, you're like, oh God, let me get that house. I know they tip well. I know it's good. There was a little bit of that feeling for me last weekend because when I said yes to every ride except for one. But I saw one and I was like, oh, St. Michael's and back. It's a long straight road. I'm going to put the cruise control on, not a difficult drive. But it's $23. Anywhere in St. Michael's to anywhere in Easton, $23. Gas is not nearly going to take that, and my time, it's going to take me about 20 minutes. So I'm getting paid $1 a minute to take this drive. So that uncertainty getting taken away certainly is helpful. Mm-hmm. So what else did you not like about delivering pizzas?
I think that's really it. Like I did Papa John's for a year in Easton,
Right.
and I expected, Easton better tips. I got paid worse there than I did at Pizza Empire.
So one thing that we talked about, and that I'm just going to key you off on it. You're ready to go home. Did you get to go home?
No.
What'd you have to do?
Clean.
Right. Which for me was the worst part of the driving job.
Or make boxes.
Oh,
Yeah.
fucking making boxes.
Or
All
separating
day
chicken
long.
kickers.
Oh man, yeah,
And tin
getting
foil.
prep ready for the next day. All of that shit that had nothing to do with driving was the shit that I hated the most. I mean, customers were shitty, that was horrible, but also you get that like, oh god, like yes, let me get the 101 East Goldfinch, because that's going to be the address. They always tip 25% on top of the dollar or whatever you're going to get. Like, you know that those places are good. But then I'd get back and I'd be like, the last thing I want to do is scrub pans, separate the frozen food for tomorrow, clean the floors, mop, all that stuff.
Do anything that wasn't in your job title to begin with.
Right. So, for me to just be like, hopping in the car, I mean, on the way home today, I didn't, but I could have.
Yeah.
Leaving Centerville, I'm like, you know what? If I get sidetracked for 15, 20 minutes, but I can make $5-10, easy enough. As soon as I get in the car, strap everything up, turn it on, go online, and you're on. Now, you don't get paid for that time, but you do get the opportunity to make money in that time. And then when I get home, every time I get home and I'm on, I sit out by the car for a minute and just wait and see if something will kick in. When I'm ready to go inside, offline, and you're done. No scrubbing pans, no cleaning floors. You're on when you want to be on, you're off when you want to be off.
So you don't like to just leave it on while you're in the house?
Well, okay, so, and nothing negative against other drivers, but we have noticed that there are several people around Easton who do that. They park at the house, and I'm guessing that they take the phone inside, and then they sit and wait. The way I look at it is, I need to be in the car and driving inside a minute. And we were talking about this the other day.
Yeah, we choose any.
Standing outside the car at Royal Farms, I feel like it's not cheating for me to have the Apple in there. Because as soon as I get a ding, pop, I'm in the car. Actually sounds kind of like that. And then it beeps incessantly at you. But I'm in the car inside a minute and I'm on the way. There are places where if I was driving, I'd have to turn around to get in the right direction in Easton. That's going to take longer than it would take me to get in the car and get going.
Plus, that guy that sits, per se, 5 minutes down the road from you, you're going to get it first because you're technically closer to that rider.
Right. So, I mean, that's the other thing, is where he parks is probably the worst place to park, just being outside of town and not in a good spot. But, yeah, I feel like, so me sitting in my apartment, there's no way for me to be in the car and on my way in an hour. So I don't really feel like that's the same thing, I guess. And maybe some people would. I mean, I don't know. You feel the same way about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather be close to the car or in the car and either driving around or make a pit stop somewhere and just sit for a little bit and if anything dings up. If not,
Are you going to get a custom-made magnet that says Uber for the side of the car?
So we were, and I was going to say, the other thing I hated about the only thing I hated about the pizza driving job was the fucking sign on top. But that being said, you got the sign.
Yes, it's on the way.
Yeah. So what is it that you got exactly?
It's a 12 by 24, basically magnet that sits on the side of the car. It's white, so it's going to stand out against the gray.
Right.
With the black letter. And I feel that, like you were saying when you pulled up to the pub Saturday night, you had two people outside. Now, not knowing which one you needed was a different story, but my feeling is that they can see the signage, they know what car to look for instantly.
Right. And so, getting into that a little bit, one of the interesting things has been you are basically just letting strangers get in your car. And you want to make sure it's the right person, because if you don't get the right person, you don't get paid. That's the one situation where you don't get paid, is if it says Josh, and I pull up, and a guy gets in the car, and I say, "Are you Josh?" And he says, "Yep." And we take the trip, and it's not Josh, I'm not getting paid for that trip, because they're going to end up appealing the credit card. And Uber's really good about, from the stuff I read, I said that sometimes they will pay both of you. They'll refund the money and pay the driver if it was something confusing. Or they'll switch. In one case where I had the two people outside the pub at the same time, somebody went to get in the car, and when I asked them, they were like, "Oh no, I'm whatever else." And I'm like, "Okay, so your guy's probably coming. I'm here for somebody else."
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that were to happen, and they actually got in the car and we drove, I've read stories where Uber will just say, "Okay, so we know who the two drivers were and who the two riders were, so we're just going to switch the charge, so it charges the right person, and make everybody happy as much as they can." But I've been thinking about the sign. The other part of the signage is the cops problem, which I don't know. Have you had any problems with the cops thus far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've gotten a little bit of hassle from the cops. I don't know that it's because I'm driving. I think it's mainly because on a Saturday night, a car is looping around downtown Easton, which probably is the bigger issue. But I've gotten stopped a couple of times, all for like petty infractions, and I never got a ticket. But again, I go offline as soon as I see those lights in the mirror. I go offline and I turn the phone off, so at least they can't see that it's Uber. I don't know if they're gonna care or not. The one cop I talked to seemed to not care so much.
Shouldn't be, because it is legal in Maryland. Hogan did pass it, so
it's legal in Maryland. And the other thing is, I think from his point of view, people getting home safe is the biggest answer.
Yep.
And that's what Uber is. It's getting people home safe, and making some money on the side. That's true. Colin makes the comment, Rob always has cop problems, and that is absolutely true.
Because they know who you are.
Right. And I can't say for sure that those stops weren't just because they know it's my car now and they're stopping me. Could be that. But I would say that it's legal in Maryland. They shouldn't have a problem with it. I can tell you that in life in general, that's not as secure for anything.
No, it's not.
But I think it's weighing out the notifying people who you are, which is why you got it, so they know, and drawing too much attention. And are you gonna put it on
curbside passenger back door?
Curbside passenger door. So yeah, so that I think that's the one place to do it. That people
way
know
it's
this is the car.
curbside, they know that's the car.
And then when he's not driving,
Just take it off. Go up on the trunk.
Right. So I like that. The one thing we were looking at first though was the light up.
Yeah, Uber actually, from what I was reading about, Uber gave their top 100 driver, it was a blue light up on them,
Right.
to put in their side window to easily recognize at night. Now, I did do some more reading. State of California, they have to have those or a sign on their car.
Right.
So
To notify.
notify people.
Yeah.
But they actually did give out one, so I was thinking about it, but then I was like, probably draw more attention from the cops, considering it's a light up object
Right.
on the car.
And Maryland's got strict rules, and if it's visible through the front windshield and it's blue, is that not if it's in the window, but if it's just visible through the
that's
window?
illegal in Maryland because
Right.
of the. That's
So
why I
there's
was
a
thinking
lot of
maybe
problems.
side door window. But
Yeah.
even then, it might. Draw
If
too
they're
much
looking,
attention.
if they're looking to cause trouble,
Yep.
then it'll cause
So
trouble.
I figured a magnet, brightly white.
Yep.
On a dark car should be fine.
So I was looking at the light up light. I thought that would be cool, but again, there's a whole bunch of problems, and really just not trying to draw attention if you don't have to draw attention. Not drawing attention to the riders, but to everybody else.
Yes.
So I think the magnet's a good idea. And I'll probably get a magnet too. My policy is I never want to be in the hole with this thing. When I first started, I got the car detailed and filled up with gas, and that put me $40 in the hole. And it took me about 40 minutes to make up that difference. So when I say I made 200, I didn't actually make 200. I made 160, and then add another 10 in gas. I made 150 for the weekend.
Still not bad though.
No.
For what you put 10 hours of work in.
10 hours of work.
So that's $15 an hour, which isn't bad.
Not bad at all. And it was a good first weekend to get some stuff, figure out what it was like and all of that stuff. So the money is, I guess to get it back to it, the money is the number one factor.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the other side of it is, what was I doing with my time and not getting paid for it?
Exactly.
So I was doing a lot of sitting around, reading, writing, and I still do that in the car and have the option of getting paid too. So, was there anything else about it that really just perked your interest?
Pretty much signing on, signing off whenever you want to. So technically, you get to make your own hours. But again, you want to try to be on as much as you can to try to make people aware, like over here, that it is available in this area.
Right.
So,
And I think that's the thing is what appeals to me most. And we were talking about somebody who works most of the hours of the week. You were telling me.
Yeah, I had a graph, and I wish I would have grabbed it. Uber did a study with their top. They just picked basically 11 drivers.
Yeah.
Off the country, and ranging from people that worked 157 hours a week to a driver working 13 hours a week.
Right.
And they basically compared that, after they pay toll, after they pay insurance, all this factored in, the top driver still made $36 an hour, where the lowest driver, since only worked maybe three or four jobs, he still cleared about $13, $14 an hour.
Right.
Even after insurance and stuff like that for his car.
But that one guy was working 150 hours a week, which does not leave a lot of time to sleep. But the thought I had is, if you're in a city like New York, where last call's 4 a.m., you could park. That alarm is loud enough it would wake me up, so you could sleep in the car, especially if you're already living in the car anyway, which you might be. But
Now I'm wondering if they're factoring in is the time online though, not actual riders.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure it's.
Like as soon as he signs on, it's probably factoring in that's his
but,
time.
But even if he's not getting paid for it, he's available for fares, and that's the whole thing. Is that you can sit back, I can sleep in the car. When the alarm goes off, it'll wake me up. And as long as you're not too discerning about what if you just pop up and hit that thing to accept, then you could probably sleep. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll try getting some sleep in the car.
I imagine the big cities probably, if somebody's out there at night, they're probably getting them back to back.
Right, and well, I mean, I think the bigger thing is, I'm sure there are people who use it to get to work in the morning, and there are people who are taking it from the bar at 4 a.m. So if it was me, I would just stay out, stay online, sleep from my last bar fare to my first work fare, because, I mean, there's 168 hours in a week. That means he was working all but 10 to 15 of those hours, which doesn't leave a lot of time for anything else.
2 to 3 hours of just that a day to sleep.
Right, and you got to factor in that the sleep is probably not important as going offline to eat or take a shit or anything else. So, so it may just be that he slept in the car and kept that thing online. Which I gotta say, if you were in a city where it made sense to do that, you could make a lot of money, and you work real hard for 5 or 6 months and then just take off a month and don't do anything. Because he had to be clearing, if he was doing 150 hours a week and clearing, $15 an hour, that fucking adds up fast. So, but I do like the making your own hours thing. Making your own hours is the best thing of it all, I think, because, another thing that sucked about being the delivery driver is, I don't know if you saw this, but it always seemed that I got cut early on nights that I didn't want to get cut early, and I had to stick around on nights that I didn't want to stick around. So, it's Friday night. If there's a night I gotta close, I want it to be tonight, because it's gonna be busy right up until the end. It also means I have to do all the shitty stuff at the end, but whatever. But it was like Fridays, everybody worked, and then they cut in whatever order they wanted, and if I happen to come home at the wrong, or come back to the store at the wrong time, we need to cut somebody. You're here, cut you. And he cut out the one good night, one of the couple good nights of the week. With this, though, I was talking to somebody about it too. It's like last year I spent like $200, $300 on Halloween all told, costume, going out, drinks, all that stuff. And I will probably make that by skipping that and going out. But if I didn't want to, if I wanted to go out on Halloween, if this was a cab company, for sure we'd be working on Halloween night. But if I wanted to make the choice to say, I don't need the money, I want to go have a good time, I could. And you just don't do it. So, I do like that aspect of it, too. That you make your own hours. You can turn it on when you want, when you don't. All we're waiting for now is for people to get up on it so that it's busier all times of the day, which I would really like, for it to be busier more often. So, but I got some flyers ready. We're going to print up some flyers, hit some bars, drop them off on windshields, and see if that helps to get people going.
And in most cases, cheaper than a cab.
And I was going to say, so the other part of that is, my understanding is that Easton, base fare is $10. So to pull up at your house, you owe them $10, no matter what. And that's just because there's no competition, which I think is the big thing. Uber is all about providing competition. And so you have to pay $10 no matter what when you pull up. Uber, you're paying $6.60, so you already got them beat there. And I want to say that the rates are actually better all around.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference being, of course, that the cab company, who knows how much they take at the end of the day. I know the fare is $20. That's 18 in my pocket, 17.25 in my pocket after the 20% to Uber and then the rider's fee. So I know how much it's gonna be, and when it pops up there, I can think, all right, that total fare was $21. That's $17 in my pocket tonight. Got it.
And then plus, as you progressively do it, you also get a safe rider fee, safe rider bonus, which is like $1.45.
Right.
Added on to yours.
If somebody helped you signed up, then when they do 20, you get a bonus. They get a bonus for doing 20, and I'm waiting to get to 20 to figure out what are the levels of.
I think it's 25 you have to get to in order to get those rewards.
No, I got 20.
You get 20 when you get those rewards?
20 I get. You get a cash bonus. I get a cash bonus.
Oh, you do. Okay, you do.
And then I think. After that, I'm trying to figure out how many rides I start getting the rewards, the 10% off and that kind of stuff.
That's 25 rides.
Good. So
25 rides.
Every 25 rides, you get a new reward.
No, it's just a list of.
Shit. See? So I mean, like, I gotta get my oil changed. That's gonna cost me $25-$30, however much it costs. And by doing something that I was doing already, not putting that many more miles on my car, I'm gonna get a discount to get oil changes, just based on that, just based on just driving. And hey, you just made $300. Let's also give you a percentage off of Verizon service, AT&T, brakes at
was it Midas?
Midas.
No, I'm sorry, Meineke.
Meineke. Oil
Lube.
changes at Jiffy Lube, like all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, it's. I don't see. Well, let me ask you that. So, do you see a bad side of this yet?
The only bad side I see is putting miles in your car and doing regular maintenance, but you're technically making that money back.
Right. Now, I mean, I gotta say, the one annoyance I've had thus far was the 2 very slow nights.
Yes.
Tuesday, there was. Well, I got 2 rides in before you got there.
Yes.
And then there was 1 ride home. I don't know what happened to the other person, but we didn't get a ride home on that one. It was just the ride I gave him to the bar.
Leading with that, I guess the only annoyance was the cancellation where you got it, then I got it.
Yeah, and that was annoying too.
Which he probably was showing probably a friend how to use it, or.
And when I pulled up, they were showing somebody while I was sitting there, like, oh, here he comes, like, and I feel like it was probably just cancellation. But I'm glad, because the person he was telling, or the 2 or 3 people he showed it,
will now
hopefully
will
use it.
Yep.
Yeah, so that it's all good. But it's. The weekend, I made a lot of money per hour. Now, if I average that out over the week of pay, that includes the Tuesday night that had 3 hours of non-pay. So I actually worked about 15 hours and made $200. I'm not very good at math, but that's still better than minimum wage, and it's still better than what I would make delivering pizzas probably, especially for those hours.
Because you barely made anything as far as minimum wage at the end of your check.
Right.
So you basically count on the tips to cover your gas.
And this is all included in that. So, but yeah, so I mean, from a downside for me, it's a lot of time not spent doing something else, but it's all about finding a way to do work while I'm doing that. Sleeping, which would be lovely, and now that I've thought about that, maybe I will do that. But also I can write and I can read and I can do basically what I was doing sitting at home, I can still do while sitting in the car. Because another great thing about the app is, even if you're online, you don't have to have the app front and center. You can switch out of it to other stuff. So now, my average Thursday night, or maybe not Thursday because of football. By the way, I want to say a big thank you to Colin for giving us the play-by-play of the Thursday night football game. Thanks for that. But like on a Tuesday night, I would sit at home, watch Netflix, and write. Now I am doing I can do all of those things and make some money. And it may not be a lot. I think it was like $6 each time to the bar, 1 home. So I made 18. Like all told, I think it was like $7.90 or $8.20 for the trips. So I made $18. I sat there for 3 hours. I burned about $5 in gas. So $15 in my pocket just for that one night. Doing exactly what I would have been doing at home and not getting paid for it. So
it's also finding the dead spots too, as far as what days of the week since you're starting, what's not pulling. But hopefully, as it gets out there, and word starts spreading, especially at local bars and pubs and stuff like that.
Right.
They try to push or say, hey, try this service. They'll get you home.
So, as somebody who doesn't do it.
Well, I actually originally signed up. I just never finished it.
Right.
The first time I ever heard of Uber was actually a girl was talking about it on a radio station.
Yeah.
She left her keys at home. She was at an airport.
Mm-hmm.
She sent Uber to go pick up her keys and bring them to her at the airport.
And I mean, like, the thing is, if it's pays there, I've had a couple of trips where they were like, so this is where we're going, but I did stopping at store so they could run in and come out. You're on the clock. Just leave it running. It's just like a cab. So when you're sitting still, now I wouldn't have circled because I have a sense that sitting still there runs the clock higher.
Yeah, because I think it's 15 cents per mile.
Right.
And $1.05 per minute.
Right.
So you're not getting that extra 15 cents, but you're getting more off the per minute than you would be off the mile.
Than you would off the mile. So
let them take 5 minutes in the store.
Go in there, and I mean, most of the people I had were tourists, and when you're on vacation, you're not really thinking about how much you're spending anyway. The app is easy to just be like, whatever, yeah, I don't care. But I went and sat outside the store, let them go in, do their stuff, take them back where they're going. They were like, hey, are you gonna be around? Because we may want to go get something later. I'm like, yeah. And if you call me to take you to Wawa and back to your hotel, doesn't bother me at all. Yeah, I could sit there and make money. So, so I mean, yeah. So sometimes it's not direct trips. Sometimes it's like, okay, so we are going to here, but we need to drop people off. This happened when I went to St. Michael's. It was like, all right, now take a 1 minute detour down this road to drop somebody off, and then we're going back to, then we're into St. Michael's, and we're stopping here, and then one more stop. Again, you're on the clock. It doesn't matter, and the trip doesn't end until you end it. Mm-hmm. So, if they put in an address and you never end up there, that's fine too. You can do that. So, again, it's just so much personal choice about even down to what rides you can take. And like I said, I didn't take one, and that's because actually those girls that not the drunk 8 crowd, but the ones who went to Wawa, they were kind of collecting their stuff and taking a little time. And when I pull over and the door opens, that's when I hit stop. Mm-hmm. And everything in between is like them getting out and whatever. And if I had something in the trunk, maybe I wouldn't until I got back in to do it. But one popped up while I was still chatting with them and they were getting out. So I just skipped that one. But if I wanted, you could skip any of them. Mm-hmm. I probably wouldn't do that, but because I'm money hungry and
the nice thing is it also tells you where it's at too. So
where are you going?
So if it was like in Cambridge and you were in St. Michael's, you wouldn't want to take, or Easton, you wouldn't really want to take that unless it was your worthwhile to go to Cambridge.
Right. Now, and actually, the one that I skipped was I was sitting at the Econo Lodge in Easton, and I saw that it was in Cambridge, and I said to myself, I guarantee you that's a Cambridge to Cambridge trip. Which means I'm going to go from Easton to Cambridge, drive somewhere else in Cambridge, and then from there have to come home because it was 2 o'clock in the morning. Is it worth it for me to take that trip or not? And I ended up sitting around for another probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes, not getting another one, so I went home. But it saved me the extra 20 minutes to Cambridge, 5 minutes in Cambridge, 20 minutes back.
And burn all that.
Burn all that gas for what reason, really? So, I think it's easy enough. But so you were saying you thought about doing it, but
yeah, I signed up and I kept getting text messages to come finish it. And they helped me get a newer car because it has to be 2005 or newer.
Right. 4-door, at least 4-door, 2005.
Actually, let's while we're on that. So, do you know the guidelines specifically
yes.
that you need to be a driver? Can you, while he's talking, can you pull that up?
Sure.
All right. So. Anyway, so that you were getting text, which is another annoying thing, is you get a lot of text from.
I ended up blocking the number, but I'm gonna look into it again and go back on the account and possibly finish it.
I was gonna say, it's if you're willing to put in the time, I think it's worth it. No matter.
So must be at least 21. Have access to a 4-door car that is 2005 or newer in most cities. Now in Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Francisco, 2000 or newer. I mean, if you have the free time, why not?
Right. So you got the guidelines there?
What do you have to be? Must be at least 21. Have access to a 4-door car that is 2005 or newer in most cities. Now in Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Francisco, 2000 or newer. In New York, 2011 or newer. And in Chicago, 2001.
And I think that the reason, another thing we've talked about before, that the older cars are acceptable is that you can get you have a 2000 hybrid,
Mm-hmm.
and they are really encouraging the hybrids in some parts
Yeah,
of
because
the
they want
country.
people to save.
Right.
Save gas.
But New York City has so many people that they can say,
Mm-hmm.
not 05 is not good enough. 2011 is all we
Yep.
want.
Or
So,
not.
anyway,
Must have an in-state auto insurance with your name on the policy, which is kind of a given.
Yeah.
Must have an in-state driver's license for at least 1 year, which you ran into some problems.
Yeah.
Was that because you renewed, or was that
It was.
like normal renewing?
It was a normal renewal. I got my license for the first. Oh no, 21 is when you get your new license.
Yes.
So I just turned 31. So the actual physical date on the license was this year,
Gotcha.
when I turned 31. So they needed more proof that
You've been driving.
I had been driving before that, because there was no way to do it before. But yeah.
And then in-state plates with current registration. The nice thing is if you do Uber X, which is basically the 4-door car, you do not need like a commercial license.
Right.
Now, when you do the like vans and stuff like that, I think you have to have more commercial because you're transporting more than.
Well, I think
6
it's
people.
the XL. You're still fine. It's just based on the size of the car.
Right.
But the black car and whatever the fourth option is, you have to have commercial, because you are a professional driver,
Yes.
taking more than 2 people. So.
Yep. And then of course pass a background check and a record check. Now the background checks, which there's of course a lot of controversial over, that they don't do a safe background check. But from my looking at it, is they do a federal, they do a tri-state, and they do a county background check one.
Right.
So they're hitting you 3 ways with 3 different background checks.
And my background check took 8 days.
Mine took 3.
Yeah. So.
Or 2.5.
And I just
he's done more in his life.
Well, I attribute that to, one, I've been arrested a lot for various reasons. If you search my name on K-Search without any other search terms, I do 300 cases a year.
Yeah.
So you're going to get 15 pages of results and have to go through it and say, attorney.
Which they were probably doing, is wondering why you had some, so they probably had to look it up.
And then go into all this stuff. But otherwise, I mean, driving record, proof of insurance, registration, license. That's all I had to get.
Yep, that's all you need.
And I usually don't need the driving record, but because my license was less than a year, that's why I had to get the driving record. I just want to say hi to Jesse and Jalea, both of you joined us at least temporarily. So thank you for checking it out.
There was 3 for a minute.
Yeah, so always exciting. Apparently Colin has left us for the football game. Somebody else is back. But so being a driver, and like I said, I kept getting the text messages. The text messages are a little annoying, but
I think it's them just trying to get drivers, so I think is what it is.
right, and it's encouraging, because if they're putting in that much work, that means there's going to be more
Especially on
drivers.
the Eastern Shore, because like you
Yeah.
said, there isn't a lot around here.
And what I was saying on Tuesday was, there may come a time when I'm like, yo, no more drivers, we're good. But when you're delivering pizzas, there is a magic number, because people don't want to wait 2 hours for their pizza, but you don't want to have too much competition. And you hit that magic place where there's enough drivers covering all of the time
And everybody's getting double and triple
that
runs.
everybody's still getting a lot of work, but people aren't waiting too long. We are not nearly there yet. And when it gets there, maybe I'll have a different perspective, but I'm like, everybody should drive. Come out and do it. Just don't drive on Friday and Saturday. Leave all this to me. But otherwise, we need people during the week. And I gotta say, if more people knew about it, and there were drivers available, I think that there is a 24-hour market, or maybe an 18-hour a day market, because I've seen people post on Facebook saying, hey, I need a ride. Anybody can I'll give you gas money if you give me a ride. I'm like, try Uber, see if there's anybody out there. And the more market there is, the more people there will be.
Which that brings up another thing about, don't want to touch too much on, but insurance companies wanting to get their hands in it.
Right.
I mean, it's the same thing as Kenny saying, hey, can you take me to Rofo? I'll give you, here's $5 for gas. And it's the same thing.
And that's basically, when I explain it to people, that's what I tell them. I'm like, you think of it like a cab because it's a stranger. But essentially, I've done the same thing with my friends. You pull up, you give them a ride somewhere, you give them a ride back. They give you gas money. It's the same thing, except for your pool of friends is just everybody.
Much bigger, yeah.
Yeah. And probably most of my cheap-ass friends wouldn't give me the actual gas money to cover where I was taking them. So this way, it's that plus a little more. You make sure that you cover all your bases. So Yes. I mean, is anything else you want to touch on?
Not really.
From the outsider's perspective, who hasn't done it, I mean, I think it's weird. It's interesting for us because we've been out there. You had a ride. You sat out and did nothing for a night. But any thoughts that you have from the outsider looking in?
I think if I joined, I would just follow you around.
Why is that?
Play Monopoly on the hood of the car while we wait.
Well, so I mean, it's easy enough. We went through the things you have to do to be a driver. Just 21 years old, car that's 05 or newer with 4 doors, registration in your name, insurance in your name, and be a driver greater than a year, even if you're over 21. So it's easy enough. And Kenny mentioned that helping them get a car. Uber will actually help you buy a car that fits their guidelines. I don't know about how they finance it. My guess is, though, that they just take a portion of what they pay you every week.
Yep.
So if the car payment is $250 or let's say $400 for even number's sake, they take $100 every week from you, and then helps you pay off the car. They also will rent you a phone, which we were talking about.
$10 a week if you need one.
So, and I would say, part of me would say, if I didn't have unlimited data, I might go with that.
Just save you on usage.
worrying about overage charges and all that stuff, but that's available too. And one thing we learned is it might be nice to have 2 devices in at once, 2 phones or a phone and a tablet or something else, just to use one for the calls and one for finding directions and stuff. But I mean, from what I've gotten thus far, I know there's a lot of horror stories, but it has been nothing but great, and the company's been nothing but helpful for everything that I've wanted to do. So, I mean, I say you can't beat it. I think it's where it's at. You should check it out. So.
I know the support probably hates me by now, but
well, nothing
very
like,
helpful.
Nothing like signing up and canceling and signing up again and then complaining when you were canceled. Yeah. So I'm not sure how happy they are, but I mean,
not working on my iPhone. I need to cancel.
Well, it wasn't because of the new iOS 9 update.
Yeah, and that's not Uber's fault.
No, it's not. Now,
Apple's. Yeah.
after talking to them and talking to the guy about it, they did come out with an update the day later.
Yeah.
So maybe they knew they had a problem. Just thought we were just getting some workarounds on it, but my device won't allow it.
Yeah.
So and as soon as I updated to the beta version of 9.1, it worked perfectly.
Right.
And then they came out with 2 more updates after that for the app. So it must work now.
And I was going to say that they have, it seems like every time I get updates, it updates both Uber and the Uber Partners app, which just tells me that their support staff is constantly working on bugs and making sure that it runs well. And I haven't had any problems with it. I recommend an Android device because Apple sucks, but otherwise, it runs it perfectly and I've had no trouble.
Well, that's one thing I like about Android is you can actually download the partner app right from your store.
Yep.
I have to go through Uber's Google Uber Partner app and then download it as an off-link, and then had to give my device permission.
Yeah.
Because Apple, when they're restrictive crap.
Yeah.
Not
allowed in the Android.
Not allowed on the new device. Now, 6 and below,
right.
It was trusted, but because the 6S just came out and the 6S Plus, it wasn't a trusted source yet.
Okay.
So and that's where I think I ran into most of the problems was having to make it trust, but then it crashing.
Right, and not being able to complete the whole.
And then it just got stuck in a loop.
Most of those problems. Buying
When I bought a new one, I should have just kept the 6 Plus.
Or you should just get Android because
Nah, too slow.
Too slow. What? Man. All right. Anyway, is there any other comments from the outside for people who haven't done it?
I don't think so.
All right, so you're looking at maybe doing it? That would be exciting.
I'm going to look more into it. I mean,
yeah.
We do need a better vehicle for the kids. So.
Right.
And that would help.
And I was going to say, that's one of the things, too, is that the benefits don't just go to what you're... I mean, we were talking about getting a tablet, something to have in there for... But it's an excuse. The job is an excuse, but then you have it for the rest of the time that you're not working, too. Get a new car. You get your car all the time. It also just means that you can work. Same with the phone. Same with the cash money that's paying for my trip to Miami. So I'm happy with that too. But so if you are interested in joining Uber, you could send an I'm interested email. Send me a link to uberwithrob@gmail.com. That's UberWithRob. at gmail.com. I'd be happy to send you out a link that'll help you have some instruction and give you some information.
I think Rob needs the referral right now more than I do.
Yo, I'm the marketing guru.
He's pretty helped me out so far. So
since Matt's about to make $150
off me, yeah. So that's what
Yeah.
happened. So maybe before, maybe I'm hoping Friday night. But so if you're interested in driving, check out Uber.com. It has all the information. If you want direct links, send me an email to uberwithrob@gmail.com. Otherwise, if you're just interested in riding, I can't encourage people to use the service enough. Not only when you're drinking, but especially when you're drinking, there is nothing better than knowing that you have a safe ride to the bar and a safe ride home. It's just
and it's cheaper than a taxi.
And it's cheaper than a taxi. And when you really think about it, most places, even on the Eastern Shore, are going to be $10.
Do you know what our town taxi charges?
I don't know what their basic rates
are.
are.
How much does the taxi here charge?
To go like from here to Walmart is 5, but to go from here to Easton it's like 20, 30,
So it's
30 and
Anywhere
up.
from 20 to 30.
It would probably be cheaper than going to Easton. It wouldn't be cheaper than going to Walmart, but because the base fee. But you might not even
From Greensboro to Denton, it cost me $10.
It'd probably
ways.
be about. It'd be about the
So
same.
$20 for a trip to work and a trip home.
Right. So it'd be about
the same.
It'd be about the same as that. But I think the difference is when you get the longer distances.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it starts to make more of a difference to do it. But so no matter where you are, if you're on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, if you're in Caroline Talbot, Queen Anne's County, or if you're out beyond that, check out Uber. Uber.com /get get.uber.com or uber.com/apps. We will make sure that we put both of those links in the show notes, as well as the link to the email if you're interested. Just send me a message. But check out Uber. I think it's one of the big things that is spreading. I rode in an Uber 4 years ago in New York City, and I was like, this is fucking amazing. And before people knew about it,
so it's been around that long.
It's been around for a while.
Yeah.
It's been around
But
for a
it's
while.
just now really jumping off.
It's expanding. It's expanding a lot now, and that's the difference. Is it really was LA and New York City were basically the only two places you could get it, and now they're expanding outward. But before people knew what it was, I can't tell you how badass it was to get an Uber black car, and then you get out of the black car in front of a restaurant or a bar, and the guy, when you get the black car, he's in a suit, he's driving, he comes around and opens the door for you, makes you feel so baller, and he's paid like $20 for the ride, so instead of renting the car all night. And then when you step out, nobody notices who the driver is. They just know you step out, black car's waiting, they open the door, you get in, you drive off. This is not nearly that nice. I'm not going to pick you up in a suit. That's just not going to happen. But
and in some cases, it might be a quicker way to get a ride too.
And it's definitely a quick. I would say that the one comparison to the cab is how quickly somebody will be there. Now it may not be right now, but expanding outward. So make sure you check out the links in the show notes so you can get all that information.
And if they don't see somebody, don't get discouraged. Just keep checking back.
Always keep checking back. That's got to be the important thing. Is that we're expanding quickly. We're checking out. It seems like new drivers every single day are popping up. So hopefully it'll spread and it'll be way more available. So, do you have a place people can find you online, or you want people to find you online?
Not yet. I'll make a.
Okay.
I'll make a more public account.
That's what you got to do. Yeah.
I'm not like you with 10 emails,
Right.
3
This is only
Facebooks,
because he's had
8
bad
Twitters.
experiences on the internet.
Yeah, very
Oh
bad.
no, everything is available. In fact, you can find me on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com where you can find links to my news website, the political blog, basically all of my stuff, including links to Amazon where you can find my books. Make sure that you check out odanthem.com. New episodes of the O The Anthem podcast every Tuesday. And make sure that you check out DirtyShoreUnderground.com for new episodes of this podcast every week. New episodes here every Thursday with bonus episodes, basically whenever the fuck we feel like putting one up, but generally Monday or Tuesday. And make sure that you, whether you follow on Dogcatcher or Stitcher or iTunes, make sure you like and subscribe so you get all the newest episodes in your inbox as soon as they become available. And no matter how you listen, go over to iTunes, give us a rating and a review, 5 stars, and let us know what you like and what you don't like, so we can tailor this podcast to the things you want to hear about.
Thanks for saying the 5-star thing. So to get back to
Oh
the
yeah,
thing.
one other thing.
It does have a rating system. A lot of people tend to give drivers a 3 or 4 because they think it's in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
But as a driver's perspective, if you drop below a 4.7, we do lose our privileges to drive. And even as a rider, if you drop below I think it's the same, 4.7, you do lose the privileges to ride with a group.
Yeah. So always, unless there's a reason not to, give your driver 5 stars. I'm not going to say.
The comment I said last night.
What's that?
How you gonna rate somebody if you did?
Are you talking about killing riders? Is that what you're looking to do?
No.
Drivers.
I'm talking about if a female drove and you had a male customer. Because Kenny said something about I wouldn't be allowed to drive because I wouldn't have protection. And he said, oh, well, it's all on a rated system. I said, how you going to rate somebody if you're dead?
But see, here's the thing, though. It's tied to a major credit card. They confirmed that the credit card billing address is a real address. So if something were to happen, it would be the dumbest murder ever.
Okay, but what I'm saying
Because by the time you get back to your house, the cops are going to be waiting there for you.
What I'm saying is you said you don't get paid if somebody else gets in the car.
Right.
How do you know who they are, though?
Because there's a picture of them and they have a picture of you.
Okay.
Which is one of the funny things I've learned. That one of the funny parts of my life is when a girl bends down and then scoots in and then holds up the phone just to compare my face to the one in the picture. As if she's not doing that. And I'm like, it's okay, confirm I am who I say I am. It's totally fun. But people are over concerned about this. It's never been a problem. At least it's never been a problem in the U.S.
Yeah.
They have had some problems overseas. It's never been a problem here. I'm not worried about safety at all. And
in fact, I mean, a lot of places, yeah, it's still illegal in some states, but a lot of they're even trying to make it legal. They're trying to go in there and say, hey, you need to do this on these grounds.
Yeah. So, where can people find you online?
Dirty Shore UG on Facebook and Twitter, youtube.com/c/Dirty Shore UG-OTA.
And make sure you follow, like, and subscribe on YouTube so you get the newest updates there, and so that you can follow the live stream and become part of the podcast. Big thanks to Colin, Jesse, and Jalea who joined our conversation today. Make sure you check out those links so you can be a part of the conversation next time.
Got a shout out.
Have a good week, everybody.
See you guys.
You're not worried about safety?
I'm not worried about safety. What the fuck am I going to be scared of?
Oh, sure?
Yeah.
Mr. Manhor?
I mean,